Welcome back, everybody, to the Trail Network podcast. I'm your host, Katie Asmuth, and today I interview the great Ida Nilsson. She's been in the sport for a very, very long time, and she's explored pretty much everything there is to explore with the sport of running, from track to cross country, from the roads to trails. And now she's even doing ski mountaineering, which is pretty cool. Together, we go through her long and successful career, retracing her athletic development from her upbringing with her two brothers and sister, also athletic superstars, her decision to run in Flagstaff at the Northern Arizona University, and generally her approach to the sport and longevity. She has won a total of 10 gold medals in Swedish championships in track and field and cross-country running, plus 2 NCAA championships in the steeplechase and 5,000 meters in 2004 and 2005. She's been doing this a very long time. She's also won a ski mountaineering championships in Sweden. In ultrarunning, I highly recommend you scrolling the races on her UTMB index page. She has been competing with the best for 10 years. Amongst many, she has 2 top 10s at Western States. Last year, shaved off nearly 50 minutes off her time from 2023. And this year, she has goals to improve even more. She's gotten first at Canyons, Transvolcania, Ultravasan. And this year, she just won the Transgrancanaria 82K. She is not slowing down. I love talking with her and about her mindset with injuries, her relationship with food, her first mentors in ski mountaineering and trail running, the one and only Killian Jornet and Emily Forsberg. She has now co-founded an organic plant-based nutrition company with Emily and Mimi Kotka called Moon Valley. And they provide nutritious food for mountain athletes. She says they will be shipping to the US soon, so watch out for that. I really hope you enjoy this episode. There were some glitches in the beginning, so please excuse any audio malfunctions. Huge shout out to our editor, Emma, for working her magic while Ida spoke with poor internet connection from her Airbnb at the Craft trail running camp in Italy. Without further ado, enjoy. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Trail Network podcast. I am one of your hosts, Katie Asmuth, and today I am joined by the great Ida Nilsson. Welcome to the podcast, Ida. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's great to talk to you and great to see you again.
Can I say, first, I think of you as a friend, and we've had some really, really fun memories together. But doing the research for this podcast has been such a joy. I was just telling you, like, your career has been absolutely mind-boggling. And I hope that everybody that's listening to this podcast knows you. I'm sure they do, because everybody's trail running fans. But it's really incredible. Your Wikipedia page just keeps on going and going and going. If you go to your UTMB index page, it's just like load more. You have 10 years of UTMB index. Like, this is incredible. You're an incredibly inspirational athlete. And I think it goes for all of us to say it's a real privilege to have you on the podcast. I want to start with, where are you calling from right now?
I'm actually in Tuscany in Italy now. So I'm on a craft team camp here. So that we're on the last day, and we've been running here since Tuesday. So we had a good time.
I wanted to ask you, so right now you just mentioned you are in Tuscany for the Craft Trail Camp. You guys have been to some amazing places on these retreats. I know Tim really enjoys going on these fun adventures with the teammates of Craft. Give us a little bit of an inside scoop. What goes down at these Craft trail running retreats?
We're sitting a lot in the car, driving to places to run, and then we're doing a longer run, and then going back, and then pretty much the day is over, and having some nice dinner and wine, and then the day is over. So it'd be kind of like that. So this time we've been running through the Chianti course, actually. So we know the course now for the people who's chasing a golden ticket. So actually from our team is just Aroa who's doing the race, but everyone knows the course now, at least.
So very cool. So you guys are checking out the Chianti course. Any inside scoop on this Chianti course? What do you think? Is it going to be a fast course? Is this a technical course? What does the course look like?
I mean, it is really fast, but I think it could be super hard because it's like a 120K cross-country race. It's like never flat, but it's never long ups and downs. It's like always punchy, small hills, and a variation of like just dirt roads and single track trails is in the forest with little bit more mud and stones. But I think it could be potentially really hard to run such a long race in a fast pace with that kind of hilly terrain, and you never really can go into power hiking or have a long uphill or a long descent. So yeah, it will be interesting to see.
Okay, I know you are just coming off a Transgrancanaria win. We need to get into that. But first, we need to take a step back a little bit and let's talk about Ida from a young child and how you got into the sport. I mean, clearly, hopefully everybody knows this. You started out in track, and after an injury, you switched to trail and ski mountaineering. And I kind of want to walk through that with you from your perspective. But the most interesting thing for me is how you came from a family of greatness. You know, I mean, between you and your brothers and your sister and your parents as well were elite athletes, but all of you have competed on the national team in Sweden. You've won multiple medals. You yourself won the 2004 NCAA Collegiate Outdoor Championships in the steeplechase. And then in 2005, won the indoor championships in the 5,000 meters. So you are just an exceptional athlete. And I'm just very curious about how your upbringing, how your parents did that. How did all of you guys become champions?
I think it was like quite natural for us to start because they ran and we just came along and did the kids race kind of, and yeah, and then they were also like coaching in the club and organizing races. So I kind of grew up with my local club, and I'm still part of it and follow along. And so they have kind of lived the same life the entire life to be really involved in that club I'm from, where I grew up. Yeah, I did. Now I did like yeah, a little bit everything within track and field in the beginning when I was a kid, and did those small kids races. And then I think it just progressed. Like, of course, I realized pretty quickly that I'm not very good at anything else than running. So um, around like junior high school, I started to just do running. And in high school, I moved away to like to have a high school in Sweden where you get more help with training after. So it was like a track and field program there focused on. So I moved away from home when I was 16. It was very fun to be with other people who liked running because that's around that age when you're 16 where people stopped training in the club, like the people like either keep going or they stop doing sports. So that was great to go away and keep running, and it was really fun also, like starting to do junior national teams and do some cross country races in Europe and things like that.
So you and your sister both went to Flagstaff together. Is that right?
Yes, I mean, I went, I'm 2 years older, so I went first, and then she came after when she graduated high school.
Got it. Okay. Let's talk about that transition. Why did you go to Flagstaff? Why did you choose that area in the United States? Why, like, was it because you wanted to be in altitude? Was it because of the coach? Was it because of the program at NAU? Why did you decide to go to Northern Arizona University?
First, I mean, it was quite common that a lot of people went to US on a scholarship, like from Sweden, but maybe they just went 1 year to try. And my coach knew a coach from Arlington in Texas, so a lot of people went there, had gone to my high school. But then me and my friend, I had it was another guy on the team the same age as me, Henrik. We were like, it doesn't feel very good, this school in Texas. I don't think like we're gonna improve here. And altitude, you always hear that like, okay, it's very good to stay on altitude. Like I was a little bit before everyone went away on altitude camps, so we didn't know much about it. But we just thought like Flagstaff would be a great place for running, and I mean, it was before the hype. No one stayed in Flagstaff for professional runners or like national teams or anything. So I think we just took a chance a little bit. So it's like, okay, this sounds like a great place. And I mean, I loved it from the first day. I think it's really great for running. So I was always surprised when I went to school. I was like, why is no one up here training? And I mean, now it's the scene totally changed, so it's a big difference. Yeah, so that's how it started. I think we were just curious to improve as runners and thought like, oh, that sounds great to try to stay on altitude, but also to try the US system and like do new races and to be a team. And I think everything was a cool experience.
So you are one of the original Northern Arizona elite members without actually being a part of that. It sounds like you were the one that said everybody should come here to run, and then they all did.
Yeah.
At Western States Training Camp, was that last year? Yeah, and you and Esther went back to Flag to. We were driving back together. You guys dropped me off at Mammoth, and then you guys continued on your way to Flagstaff to see some friends, or just because you love the area?
Yeah, I've been back many times since I lived there, and I still think it's a great place to train, and still know some people there, so it feels a little bit still homely, especially when I stay so long time. Like both like 2 years ago, then I stayed even longer because I did canyons and got the golden ticket, and then I stayed on to states. So then I really had many weeks in Flagstaff, and then this year it was like 3.5 weeks, I think. So especially when I don't go with anyone else and stay. I think going by yourself to totally new place and don't know anyone is not so nice for a lot of weeks. So I think Flagstaff has been great that way.
I love that. I love that you feel a sense of home here. And in the United States, I should say. I don't live in Flagstaff, but I love that you frequent here. It sounds like you have roots here, and clearly it's helped with your Western States training. 2023, you were seventh at Western States with a time of 17:43. And in last year, you were sixth in a time of 16:56. So shaving off about 50 minutes off your time. Pretty impressive to get that sub 17 at Western States. Can you talk a little bit about your journey to Western States, why you wanted to run Western States, and the plan for this year?
Yeah, I feel like why I wanted to run it again this year was, I mean, I don't feel yet that I had a really good race. I was more happy last year than the first year. Like, I mean, both year have been like fine. Hasn't been like very bad or anything. Like my first 100 miler or second 100 miler, I improved, but it's still like I feel like I could do it better. So that's why I want to come back and try see if I can do it. So if I could shave off another like 45-50 minutes, I think in the end it could be good.
Then that could be really good. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the Western States fever, or this kind of draw of the cougar that we all have, that we just want to keep showing back up there. And we all think we can improve on that course all the time. But that is a 50-minute difference is a really big deal. So congratulations. It was really fun to watch you throw down and get that Masters record last year. That was super fun between you and Heather. That was really, really fun to watch you guys. So anyways, I just have to give a plug for States because I love that race. And anyways, I'm really hoping that I'm back competing with you this year. But either way, I will be at Memorial Camp and I'm going to be crashing with you and Esther again. So it will be a good time. Okay, so we need to get into Transgrancanaria because you won. It was interesting, your post on Instagram about that race, because I loved what you said. Here, I'm going to bring it up really quick. You said, I felt good and in shape, and I'm a person who never wastes good legs. So I went out quite hard because it just felt nice running and pushing. I'm curious if you could talk about that a little bit, that you never want to waste good legs. So clearly you felt really in shape after somebody who's been doing this and running for a very long time, decades. And I think that you saying that you don't want to waste good legs in one of the most competitive races in the world and being able to throw down and win just shows a lot about your longevity in the sport and how you've been able to kind of bridge that gap from old school to new school, right? Like how there's been this big change in our sport. And even the last 2 years, and you're only getting faster. Like, you're not slowing down. It's incredible. So if you could talk a little bit to your lead up into Transgrancanaria. And I do have to mention, I saw a picture of you bloody and with stitches. So if you could talk a little bit about the fall during one of your training runs leading up to the race, and how you got through that and came out with a win.
Okay, yeah, let's see. There was a lot of questions. Well, let's start with the first one with the post. Like, for example, like with that having good legs, I feel like when I was younger, I mean, maybe I felt good once a week or something. You feel really good in training, and then it's like maybe once a month, and now I feel like maybe you feel good a few times a year, and when you do, you need to like savor it and take advantage of it because actually, I mean, I am getting slower. Like it's, I mean, I get slower every year, but I try to like keep up anyways and do my best and like maybe just try harder or try harder in training. But when I do feel good those few times a year, it's like it's nice to just go for it, and I still think that's fun to just run fast then when I feel good. Um, so that's the answer on
It's so nice, right? When it's on race day, when you feel good on the race, when the
yeah,
2 to 3 times a year when you're feeling like you're gonna kill it, and it happens to
yeah,
be
yeah, and it's
perfect
enough if
timing.
it's no, but so I think like in the winter, like in Norway, we ski a bit. I go run on the treadmill, maybe run some asphalt or roads or icy roads. So it's not very like you don't feel very good running. It's not very glamorous training at all. So it's just like kind of getting through and do a little bit of everything and try to prepare as good as possible with base training. So I felt when I got to Gran Canaria, we were like a nice group of 5 women who stayed together in a house. We had really good training going, and I think that was nice to have. I was able to do some long runs with Bert, some interval workouts, and I just got some good training going. I kind of felt I was almost improving with every run or every week, and that's like not very common when I like. I think for every since Western State, I felt like my body wasn't responding well. I got injured after that, and then the whole summer and fall just felt like off training. Like yeah, I was training, but it didn't really click at all. It didn't feel good. So that was nice to have some like good feelings back in training and actually feel like okay, the training is helping and getting better. Um, but then during one training run, the fall, like I was like, yeah, it's quite rocky on Gran Canaria at some point. So this was towards the end. I was like wrecking the course, and I caught the stone my toe, and I think I thought I was like, oh, I saved the fall, but then I didn't. So I was just like fluing like 2 meters outside the trail, and I didn't have time to like save the fall with hands or knee or nothing. So the whole fall like took a stone in my head. So like in one
Oh,
second, I had like blood all over the face. So I was like, okay, this is like I think I just got shocked first. There was so much blood, but I was quite quick then to get the jacket up, and I got like a knot right on the scar. So I actually got it to stop bleeding quite quickly. And then I felt like, okay, it was no concussion, nothing. So I was like really lucky like that. And because I had like 6 or 7 miles back to the car. So it was no problem for me to actually, jog back then. So it could have been way worse, but it was just like a big scar. And then I had to put some like, the staples in the head to get it together again. But yeah, I was super lucky.
quick break to thank Osprey for sponsoring this episode of the show. Osprey has been a leading maker of premium outdoor backpacks and bags for over 50 years. There are many reasons I turned to Osprey, but one is because of their pillars of sourcing sustainable materials. By incorporating recycled and Blue Sign approved materials into their products, they're helping to keep harmful chemicals out of our environment. Osprey has eliminated PFAS-based durable water repellent in 100% of their textile products, and as of fall 2024, 100% of Osprey's products have 100% recycled content in the lining fabric, and 99% of Osprey's products have 100% recycled content in the main body fabric. Osprey continues to reduce environmental impacts and produce more sustainably designed products every year. This is the type of company I want to support, and I know you do too. Learn more at osprey.com. Now back to the show. Well, I mean, that clearly didn't put you behind in your training. You probably got your staples and then were probably back out on the trail, or did you have to take off for a little while before getting back to running?
No, I was really lucky. I mean, I didn't get dizzy or anything, or no headache. So it was just like pure like blood and a scar. So nothing else. So I mean, it could have been way worse with a concussion. So yeah, I was really lucky there.
Whew. Oh my gosh, you got so lucky. Okay, so amazing. I love this that you were in really good shape. You felt running with other people, you felt even better. I want to talk a little bit about that and your relationship with community and running with people, because I feel like you always, whenever I'm with you, you're always around other people too. Like you always crash with other people. You're always making plans with other people. You seem to me very social, and it doesn't surprise me that you're running better or you feel better running when you are around a group. But can you speak a little bit to that in your relationship with training groups and running with other people?
Yeah, I really enjoy running with other people. I think that's like coming from group training and yeah, track running. That it was nice to be like a training group and train with people. But then also, I think I mean, I train probably like at least half of the times by myself, even more. And also, like, I live by myself. I don't have like a partner or family. So that's like my social time also in the day. So if it goes like a week where I don't train with anyone, it's like pretty much I don't see anyone. So that's why I'm like, oh, it's really nice to train with people sometimes. And especially workouts, I really enjoy to do it with other people. So yeah, I try to have a good balance there.
Did the people that you were training with right before the race, did you compete against them as well? I don't know who you were training with.
No, we were actually all in different races. It was Sylvia Nordskar from Norway. She did 48K, and then it was one woman from Sweden there who ran for North Face, Fanny Borgström, and she did the 21K. And yeah, one other, Natalie, she did the same race as me. And then John and Henriette, they did the long race, 126. So we were like, and Johan as well. So we were all in like different races. But yeah.
It's really interesting that you are training with people that are running shorter races. So it's something that I'm working on is trying to run with people that are much faster than me from, running more sub ultra distances or half marathons, because I'm like, I need that speed. And clearly you brought that speed to the 82K at Transgrancanaria. So huge congratulations. It sounds like it was a battle out there. That you had Anna was chasing you down the whole time. Can you talk a little bit about that race and how you were able to pull off the win?
Yeah, we ran a little bit together in the beginning, maybe the first 5K or something. And then I think I realized like, okay, I'm like a little bit better when I got like more runnable and in the downhill. And she was like super strong uphill. And I think it was like an easier, more runnable path. So I think I had a little bit more there, like maybe 3 minutes at one point or something. And then it was like a really long climb up after halfway on the course. Like, and I think I had a little bit down as well, like because I decided to not use poles. I felt like it was not so long climb, but yes, that climb I think was a climb that was really good with poles. I was together with some men, and they all had poles, and they went away from me there, and I think I got a little bit deep there as well. And then all of a sudden I see, oh, I can see her. She's just like right there, like 1 minute behind, and yeah. So at the highest point there, I think she was really close to me, and then I started to get cramps. So I was like, usually otherwise I was like, okay, I have a good long downhill. I know I'm better in the downhill, but then my downhill got pretty bad because I tried to navigate those cramps to not to relax and just make it down in in one piece. So I didn't do a very good downhill, and yeah, I didn't feel sure at all until actually the last 500 meters, the last finish line, when I saw the finish line, because I felt like I was running so bad and had to stop several times to not like totally cramp up and just like trying to relax and then keep going. So yeah, it was good. I didn't have anyone like super fast in the downhill chasing me down.
Wow, what a race. So you thought that you might not be able to keep it. So when you saw that finish line, you were like, "Oh, thank God, I'm done.
Yeah,
I
no,
did it."
because I wasn't like so tired physical, but like the cramps made it like, oh, I can't really push because then I will totally cramp up. I just have to kind of make it like smooth as possible to, to this really
That's
rocky
good advice
downhill.
for our listeners. Yeah. So for our listeners, when you're in the middle of a competitive race or any race and you start cramping up, what is Ida's recommendation or advice? What do we do?
Don't fall, because if you fall you cramp up so crazy. So that was my first, like, I can't fall because it's something like when you hit the rock or something or something sudden. I like start to cramp, so it's like just trying to like be really smooth, which is not so easy sometimes when it's like really rocky and technical. Yeah, but I mean I try to get like drinks and stuff, but it's yeah, I think it was a really warm day. It was warmer than the weeks before when we were training, and also we started 9, so we don't have any like early morning hours, so it's quite a long race in full sun, and so yeah, I think I miscalculated a little bit. I should have even more salt in my drinks.
Okay, so how amazing for our listeners to understand that you have been doing this for a very long time and you're still needing to adjust your nutrition and learning on the fly, right? I think that's what makes this sport so beautiful, because they're so long, these distances, and there's so much that can go wrong. So you're always learning, and even still, even after all these years, you're still thinking, maybe I needed more salt. So can you speak a little bit to your nutrition, how it's changed over the years? And how you think about your hydration and carbs per hour, that sort of thing, and how it's changed.
Yeah, I think like when I started trailer, I didn't know anything, like, because it was just new, and I think I was just really lucky that things just worked out anyways, because I think I mean now when I look back, I didn't I ate terrible little, like it was just like, it could be 6 gels in a long like 50 miler and not very much. I didn't think about salt or anything. I was just running. And it worked out, and I never cramped in my entire life until I think last year or something. So I think this is something now started to get problems, like when I'm older and trying to be more precise and perfect, and I had more problems. But actually, a little bit by the salt, I think, is because of the heat training. I'm got so good at sweating, and I like maybe tolerating heat in one way, but then I realized I need a ton of salt when I'm running. So I had some mistakes before Western States last year when I had a really bad Grand Canyon run, when I was totally, yeah, that was almost scary. But then after that, I was like, okay, I need really to be more yeah, precise and careful with this. So then I was fine during Western States because I really exaggerated, I think, the salt intake, which was good. So I think I have a little clue now what I need to do and how I should do it.
Do you have a coach?
No, I coach myself.
You coach yourself, and do you coach others as well?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I have some people, but yeah, not a lot. But they like I have
Okay.
yeah.
Are you taking athletes right now?
Yeah, I take everyone who asks me, like, so
You'll take anyone
yeah.
who asks you. So what is your philosophy in coaching? Give us a pitch for Ida as a coach.
Yeah, I think mine is still, even though I'm like doing ultras, I have the basic is a bit the same, I feel, for how I trained before and all training, and that I want to have a variety of different stimulus like that you do, like a workout a week, maybe 1 or 2 workouts, depending on how much you train, a long run, and some weights and easy runs. And then maybe if you're doing more, you have 2 long runs, and then you like, yeah, you start to build up but like the basic, the same for everyone, that you want a little bit of everything, and then you just increase sessions depending on your level and how much you train.
It's fascinating to me. You have been doing this for a long time. I would say you're one of the, shining stars in our sport for longevity. Can you speak a little bit to your training and longevity and how you think about the long game and not trying to make, decisions for just a short term result, and how you're constantly building? Can you talk a little bit about that? How have you been in the sport for so long?
Yeah, I think it's like my long game is not that I mean that I'm healthy all the time, and I mean I had so many injuries. Like, yeah, I failed probably more than I have succeeded. I mean, so I think that's like it's mainly that I never give up. I always come back from injuries, why I'm still here and still like running well. That I always try my best, and then that line is really fine. That either it goes really well or it goes to shit, kind of. So I'm trying to be maybe like to not really be so close to the line, but also I think it's fun sometimes to really try your best, and either it goes really well or it goes to shit. So I think I've done that a lot. I failed a lot as well, but more that is like, okay, I want to do this, and sometimes it will go bad and I will get injured, but I will come back, and I try to be smarter, and you try to do things better all the time. Of course, the goal is not to be injured, but there is never like 100% certainly that things is going to work out. Like you just try your best every time with the body you have and where you're at the moment, what you think you need to do to be competitive, and what I think I need to do to that race. So I think it's always a balance, and yeah, to realize that yeah, it can go both ways sometimes.
Let's talk about these injuries a little bit. You gave me some great advice because, as a fellow navicular fracture person, you told me some things. I remember, for instance, you said, when you're cross training, don't be too fit, because when you come back and you're too fit, then you get back to training faster than your body's ready. And so you were like, slow down. It's okay to come back from injury, being, taking your time to get back to fitness. I thought that was really good advice. I don't know if I listened to it, but I thought it was great advice. And it definitely helped me when I've had some hard runs, like, oh, I'm still coming back. But talk to me a little bit about injury for you, that mindset. What you just said really hit hard for me. This idea of, you get injured and, well, I know I'll get back, and kind of trusting yourself in that process. If you could speak about the mindset behind injury and being able to continue to bounce back from it.
Yeah, like first, yeah, the first thing you say about that, like it's really tempting to like cross train like crazy, and then do this like really grand comeback where you like so fit your first race and do amazing, because it's like a nice comeback story. And I think like I was really lucky. I think until I was like 25 years old, I barely never had an injury, and then after graduating college, and I wanted to take the next step, and I did one world championships, and I wanted to go to Olympics, and then I got into that bad kind of wheel that I had an injury, and then I cross trained a lot, and I was like, oh, it's spring now, and I need to be fit right away because it's the summer, and then I need to qualify, and then you get another injury. So I had that a few years with a very bad, I think, yeah, that it just it kept happening, that I got injured because I never really had time to build up a good base again with running, that I could run fast straight away pretty much when I started to run again. And now, like, I think the injuries with the that was the longest injury I had now, with the navicular bone, that took like 2 years, and the surgery and stuff. And I think that's the same. I mean, I kept in the beginning I couldn't really keep fit because I mean I had the surgery in the cast, the only thing I could do was like the ski erg with standing on my knees and kind of dubbing poling in the gym. So
I remember
um,
you told me about this.
yeah,
Yes, you were like,
yeah,
Katie, you need to be doing this exercise.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, of course, I always try to be some kind of active. I think it was just like I mean, sometimes in some weeks you don't do anything, but I mean, it's nice to be for your mental health. Like, it's different to be like super fit or keep active. I mean, of course, you should keep training and be like doing probably strange and do like built on weaknesses and other things, but to not be so rushed because it's kind of nice if you're a bit maybe unfit that actually like 30 minutes of running feels like okay, this feels enough of running because I'm actually getting a little bit tired of it instead of like oh, this is nothing like and I could like just go out and run like crazy fast straight away. So I think that's a nice balance to keep. Yeah, when especially when you've been not running maybe for 1 or 2 years, that's really long time. I think the smaller injuries, it's different. Maybe you've gone 1 or 2 months, and then it's probably really. I mean, you can train really hard cross training and maybe do a race even you planned, or so it always looks different your situation, but especially the long injuries, it's really important to come back slowly to running.
Yeah, I said I didn't listen, but I actually did take that in because I took a whole year off after coming back from the second surgery because you were just like slow down. Like there's no rush and you kind of need to accept the fact that your body just needs time. And I think that really has made a big difference. I think the first time around, I came back too fast and felt really fit again. And because I was only out for 5 months and then was back. And then the second time was much longer. But I did it on purpose because I wanted it to be, I wanted to think about the long term. So yeah, I think that advice is important when you think about your career from in a decade's perspective versus a months or years. So, can you speak a little bit to the mentality behind it that you somehow are able to continue to feel like I'm going to come back and still be a champion? Can you talk about that? Do you ever, when you have been injured, because I mean, at one point you had a hip stress fracture that you were out for, I believe, 5 years, right? Like, can you talk about that transition mentally, how you're able to stay cross training, stay fit, and just stay motivated through those injuries?
I mean, that was the only injury I actually that I quit elite training,
Okay.
like because I thought I was done forever with running. Like I couldn't jog, or I mean, I wasn't an athlete at all, and I was working and doing like normal things for that 4 or 5 years. So that was the only time when I was like, okay, this is not going to heal up because it was chronic, and I need to step away. But the other injuries, like I know I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run again, and it's really boring, but you just like try to get through it with cross training, and like you see it like yeah, that it's just a phase that's gonna go over, even though it doesn't feel like that all the time. Some days it's like, okay, this is never gonna be good again, and because you never know, like some injuries actually become like it ends a career or something that you can't keep going. But that time, I mean, that was how I started again, like 2015. Like I had a big break where I was not cross training. I was not like doing really like anything for being an athlete.
Wow. So let's dive into this. Ida, I need to know. So you had been a NCAA champion, right? You had won multiple championships in Sweden. You had been at the highest level of the sport, and then you get injured and you step away from the sport for 5 years. And then to my understanding, that's when you started to do some skiing and some ski mountaineering. Is that right? And then switched over to ultra running. So can you talk about that transition? I mean, you took 5 years away from athletics, really. And then what happened that you were like, all right, I want to switch into this new kind of genre of athletics?
Yeah, I think what happened was like, yeah, I always liked to be like in nature, in the mountains, like traveling. So during those years, like I worked like quite intensely, different places, and then I traveled in between. And when I traveled, I was always hiking and yeah, just exploring. So I really enjoyed that. And then I was like tired of what I was doing. I was working a lot like in kitchen, like as a chef and waitress. I was like, oh, I'm just inside the whole time, and it would be great to work with something within the outdoors. So it was this nature guide program in yeah, a little bit north up in Sweden, and I did that. And then I like worked one winter in a mountain hut in yeah, up way up north in Sweden. And during that time, I started to learn skiing because I was like, okay, I need to be able to downhill ski. And someone introduced ski mountaineering, and I thought that was really a great way to get around. Like it's amazing, you can just go up wherever you want. So I love that. And at around that time, like my hip was finally good again. It was healed, this chronic injury. So I mean, I really like to train and I like to be an athlete. So I think around that time I started to train more by myself again. But I lived up in the mountains. It felt more natural to jump in and try some ski mountaineering race, and I tried some trail race, and yeah, that I just started to do that. And it felt more interesting to try to improve that than go back to, like, for example, road running or track running, because I also felt I was a little bit older. And for me, it was also to put two big interests together, that I was able to be out like in nature and the mountains, and to push myself and train and be an athlete and do races. So it was really the best of two worlds in my mind. So yeah, it was a fun time to, and then I went so quickly that I could, yeah, do big races. I don't know why really, but I think, of course, it was really good that I've been an athlete. I know how to push myself. You know, it's a new event. I know how to. I mean, of course, it takes some time to figure out what do I need to train to be good in this kind of event, but it's also something with to know your body and know how to train. I think that is really helpful.
Hope you guys are enjoying this episode with Katie Asmuth and Ida Nilsson. Ida is an amazing woman. I first met her in Costa Rica in 2019, and I remember just being blown away by her. She actually won at least one of the stages of that race. It's like a 6-day stage race outright, just like absolutely demolished the field. And it's been cool over the years to see her set masters records at Western States, all the things she's done, all the things that she and Katie are chatting about. But just from a personal standpoint, I'm a huge Ida fan, so super fun to have her on the pod. On another note, we'd just like to give a shout out to John G, our sponsor. I am up in Mammoth right now, and I have to say I'm very thankful for the Revo Merino liner gloves, which I've been living in up here. It's freaking cold. It's below 0 Celsius, 23 degrees Fahrenheit today. And honestly, they saved my butt. Also, just to report back on testing out the 5-inch pace short, which I received last week from Janji. So far, I'm loving them, and I ran with them on a longer run this week and got lots of stuff in the pockets, and my phone didn't bounce around, so big win. All right, everybody, I hope you're enjoying the show. Back to it.
Did you have any mentors during this time, coming from the collegiate world and track and field and then to mountain sports? Was there anybody else that you met that was competing in the mountains as well?
Yeah, I mean, I had the two best. I had Emily and Killian who taught me, and I got to say no to them. I was like, I was really lucky that way in like one winter in Chamonix, and then later on. So I think that was a little bit because I just felt, you know, that I was so bad every day. That was terrible. Like, you know, you feel kind of shitty because, of course, I was so much worse. But then you come in another situation and it's like, okay, maybe I'm not that bad actually. And so I really, yeah, I had good teachers, a good introduction to
Can
the
we
sport.
talk? When did you meet Emily and Killian?
That was actually on a ski mountaineering race up there where I worked up north in Sweden, and they came and do it. It's a really cool team race where you go up on the highest mountain in Sweden, Kebnekaise. So they came and did it, and I did it with a team race with another friend. So and then we organized a running and a yoga camp together because she knew I had just like studied to a yoga teacher and she wanted to do something in Sweden. She lived in Chamonix at the time. So that was when we got to know each other actually, but that we organized this yoga and running camp together. And then I lived in Chamonix one winter when they were living down there, and then I trained with Emily a lot. So it was, yeah, really helpful to get to know, like, learn ski mountaineering and yeah, do the World Cups. And I mean, that sport felt so hard. So actually, when I started trail running, I'm like, at least this is running. I know that a little bit, like. So,
To have your mentors in the sport and ski mountaineering be Killian and Emily Forsberg is just absolutely what a gift that they just kind of fell into your life. And now you have a company, Moon Valley, with Emily. Is that right? Also, Mimi Kotka is also a co-founder. Is that right?
yes, that's right. Yeah, the three of us.
Wow. So you go from meeting her, doing these retreats with Emily, these yoga retreats, and then when did you guys begin Moon Valley? And can you speak a little bit to what Moon Valley is and the goal with Moon Valley?
Yeah, I think we talked about it in 2017, the first time in the fall, to form, like, I think everyone had been like a little bit in different thoughts about, like, yeah, nutrition and starting something by yourself. But I mean, I had a long time ago. It's like, oh, maybe I should start some like freeze fried food company, because that was when I was like, yeah, hiking, and I was like, yeah, tenting a lot and just like sleeping outside. I was like, oh, it's all shit, this kind of freeze fried food. But
Yes.
at
And you
least
had
like,
come from being a chef, you said.
yeah, and we all have interest in food in different ways, and we felt like the sports nutrition, it was everything was like this really race nutrition that is just like, yeah, I mean, great for racing, like it's pure sugar and kind of artificial flavors, and I mean, but also like the most of the times we are just training and out long days in the mountains, or even like for being healthy and active, for everyday people, like being active, that it should be something better, that it's more like real food and like better ingredients. And we felt there was like kind of a lack between sports nutrition and like maybe more regular snack that was an organic snack or something. So we felt like this was something we would really like to do there and fill that. And so I think a year later we had the first bars out, and then also the sports drink, and now we're just trying to add more products. And yeah, it's fun. It's good.
So the idea behind Moon Valley is to create sustainable products, food that is actually nutritious for mountain athletes, is my understanding. Like that is your demographic, is you're trying people that are in the mountains all day. You need to have something other than just gels when you're out there for so long. So you're having okay. And do you ship to the United States? I need to know.
Not now, but we're working on that. So maybe soon it will be
Okay.
somewhere. We are working on it, so we hope so. Yes.
Any advice for our listeners about how to prevent yourself from getting into energy deficiency? And, as you mentioned, as a mountain athlete, as an ultra runner, it's hard to keep up with the calories, really. So, can you speak a little bit to how you are really cognizant of this and intentional about making sure that you're getting in enough?
Yeah, first, I mean, I don't actually think you get it if you just eat by hunger and I mean, what you feel like eating. I think most people who get it is that they actually try to restrict certain types of food, or like they actually think they don't eat enough carbs. And so actually, I think most people that actually just eat whatever and eat when they're hungry and eat enough. never get it. So in my experience, it's actually when people like they know almost too much about like nutrition and things, and then they try to be
Mm.
healthy, or they actually restrict eating. So I don't think you so easily just get it, because it's a little bit, I think, a lazy thing to just, it's like, oh, it's so easy, it's hard to eat enough. It's not hard to eat enough. Like if you try to eat enough, it's not hard to eat enough. It's,
Just always have snacks around. That's my and whenever I leave the house, I like grab more snacks. That's my advice. Just always have them wherever you are. Okay. That is really interesting to me though that you mentioned that it's changed a lot and the idea of Red S has changed a lot over the years. What else do you feel like has changed in your career? Let's just stick to mountain running and ultra running. How do you feel like the sport has changed?
yeah, I feel like it changed just 9 years I've been doing it now. So it feels like every year it gets more competitive. I think like the top people probably always be good, was like really good 20 years ago as well. Like you hear about these people, it's like, oh, they were really fast, but now yes, the top 10, top 20 is so much better, because you actually have maybe 20 people in a race that um, train like full on, or part-time professional at least. And I think that is a big difference. For example, now I think Western State, it could potentially be like 10 people that goes under 17 hours. That
Yeah.
like 10 people could be like within 1 hour, and that was not the case before. Like, it was way more spread out. And I think that is really nice that more people are trying, because I think like that maybe 10 years ago, when I came from like track and road running, that is more competitive. I was like, oh, this is yeah, I mean, you could tell that actually the level is not as high. And I think we're seeing a shift there, that it's of course, it's still not as many people who's doing trail, but it's like getting more and more every year. And yeah, really competitive, and more people trying their best, and like actually devoting their life to being the best athlete they can be. So I think that's really cool.
Like, when do we put out a petition to Western states and say, can the top 20 come back?
Yeah,
Because
we need to
that
do
would
like
be
that
awesome.
too. Yeah, we need to do at least 15 maybe.
Okay, well, I am curious about, I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, and I'm curious about your goals in the sport. It sounds like one thing you mentioned is that you feel like you can do better at Western states. What other goals do you have? Are there races or your legacy in this sport that you can think about that keep you motivated and driven to continue to do your best?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many nice races, but there are more races I would like to do. And I mean, some is just maybe classics like UTMB. I don't think I would be very good actually at UTMB, but I just want to do it once. So we'll see if I can do the double this year, or if I'm destroyed as well after Western States. But I would like to finish it and do it one time. And also comrades, I think would be really cool to do one year. Of course, hard rock also is serious, and there is, yeah, it's more of them. And but also like, I mean, I really like the shorter races still. Like I said, probably a 50 miler is my my favorite distance to race. So it's a lot of those races that I still like, and would like to do again as well.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize. I know that you didn't finish CCC. It sounds like you might have some unfinished business at UTMB championships for CCC, UTMB. Maybe this is the year of the double. That would be really fun to see. But either way, we know you'll get there at some point if that's a goal of yours. Where do you see yourself in 10 years in the sport? You'll be in your 50s at that point. Just curious about where do you see yourself continuing to compete at this level?
No, of course I will decline like here. Like, I mean, I could probably be quite competitive some more years, I think. Like, yeah, I mean, you have quite, you can be, especially on the 100 miler, I think you can be like, I could probably be pretty good 3 or 4 more years. But of course, I will eventually decline. But I think like for me, running is also a lifestyle, and I like racing. And I mean, of course, to be an elite athlete and train the way I do now will. I won't do that my entire life. So I think I will just slowly decline and probably train a little bit less, but I will still run and do races I like. So I think that's a lifetime love with running.
Awesome. Same. I hope that we are competing into our 50s, 60s, doing adventures around the world together, Ida. I really hope so. This has been so much fun. I'm going to close out by saying, just last question. If you look back on your life, let's say 90-year-old Ida Nilsson, what do you feel, or what do you hope that you would have accomplished by when you're kind of towards the end of our days, in our 90s, maybe early hundreds? What else is there out there that you feel like you want to give back to the world, or kind of untouched goals that you haven't quite been able to do yet?
It's like with running or life or
Life, I would say. I mean, I think with running, you touched on it. You want to run Comrades, UTMB, many other races. I think more in life, like what other things does Ida want to do? I look back at your life and I'm just so in awe of all of the chapters and eras that you've had. And I'm just so curious of if you have other kind of life chapters ahead of you that you are eyeing, that you're thinking about, or not, or maybe you just go with the flow and you'll see what comes your way.
No, but I mean, of course, I would really like to have a family and meet partner, but it might already be too late. So that's a bit sad, but that would be my dream. It's to see myself to be 90, and actually that I was able to have a family and maybe have grandchildren, but you never know. And if that doesn't happen, it feels quite sad. But then I guess I need to figure something else out, and hopefully something else will be good then. Maybe I just need to keep going around the world and do like stuff that interests me.
Well, it seems like in your life, everything has fallen into your lap. Like Killian and Emily just show up and mentor you into this next chapter in your life. So I think that if you continue to be open to the universe, amazing things will happen. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really enjoyed talking with you, and wish you the best of luck at Western States. I can't wait to see you over the Western States Memorial Day weekend, and just always rooting for you.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you, and hope to see you soon.
Oh, Ida, that was so fun. We stayed on afterwards and just chatted a lot. She's been such an inspiration to me, especially coming back from injury. She and I both have had navicular fracture injuries, so she's definitely been a mentor of mine and an inspiration on the return comeback. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Let us know what you think. We love to hear from you. Give us a follow on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, give us 5 stars wherever you listen to this podcast. And generally, we love hearing feedback. So hit us up, DM us on Instagram and tell us what you think.